here's Tom Hanneman with details.
Thank you, John. In Green Bay this afternoon, the Vikings beat the Packers 13-6. Well, the snow started falling early this morning in Green Bay, and by game's end, nearly 6 inches of the white stuff had accumulated. Well, the slippery conditions contributed to the game's first 3 scores. Brent McClanahan coughed up the ball in the early going, and the Packers recovered on the Minnesota 21. 4 plays later, the Green Machine cashed in. Packer rookie quarterback David Whitehurst rolled around left end from the 3 to score. Chester Markle muffed the extra point, and the Packers led 6-0. Well, the Vikings came storming back on their next possession. Bob Lee put them out front for good with his 40-yard strike to Sammy White, who was a good 5 yards ahead of quarterback Willie Buchanan. Vikings then led 7-6. Minnesota got the ball again a few moments later. Jeff Seaman recovered a Will Harrell fumble on the Packer 43, setting up this 21-yard Cox field goal coming up here. And by the way, this kick put Fred second on the all-time NFL scoring list. Marking the ball was nearly impossible today, despite the efforts of Packer ground crews. Chuck Foreman turned in probably the most remarkable performance of the day. He danced and slid in the snow for over 101 yards. Ahmad Rashad caught only 1 pass today, but it was an important one. The 20-yard completion set up another Fred Cox field goal. This one coming from the 30, and the Vikings trotted in the dressing room at half with a 13-6 lead. The Packers moved inside the Viking 10 twice in the second half, but failed to score a point. Whitehurst hooked up with Bert Askson on this 35-yard pass play to the Minnesota 2. Rolling in does not count there, I don't think. But on third down, Bobby Bryant picked off a pass intended for Ollie Smith in the end zone. Right there, Bryant's 4th interception of the season. Paul Krause killed another Green Bay Packer drive with this juggling act up here. Pulls the ball in there. Paul is now just 1 interception shy of Emlyn Tunnell's all-time record of 79. Final again in Green Bay this afternoon, Vikings 13, Packers 6. The Denver Broncos and Baltimore Colts squared off today in Mile High City, and when the final gun sounded, the scoreboard read Broncos 27, Colts 13. The victory gave Denver a 10-1 record, which is the best in the NFL. Former Gopher great Rick Upchurch scored on this early 41-yard pass play from Craig Morton. Burt Jones narrowed the Bronco lead to 14-13 on this play. Watch a great individual effort here by Lydell Mitchell. But it was the Bronco defense that sewed up the victory. Tom Jackson, a linebacker, picked off this Jones pass and returned it 73 yards for the score, making the final Denver 27, Baltimore 13. Elsewhere around the National Football League this afternoon, the Pittsburgh Steelers nipped the Jets 23-20 in New York. That win puts the Steelers alone at the top of the AFC Central Division. Terry Bradshaw had quite a productive afternoon. He hit John Stallworth on this 37-yard beauty for 6, and then connected with Lynn Swan for another score here. Well, over in Tampa Bay, it was Atlanta 17, Buccaneers nothing. The Falcons picked off 4 Gary Huff passes, including this one by Roland Barnes, which set up a Haskell standback TD plunge there. Cleveland fell from the top of the AFC Central with a 9-0 loss at home to the Rams. Pat Hayden had the longest sprint of the game, 23 yards up the middle here. A few moments later, John Capoletti rolled in from the 7 with the game's only touchdown. Ken Anderson put on an aerial show in Cincinnati where the Bengals upended the Giants 30-13. Anderson hit Billy Brooks on an 82-yard strike here. Then Boobie Clark muscled his way past 3 Giant defenders and an umpire on this 10-yard TD. Anderson teamed up with Brooks again on this scoring pass. Steve Grogan was also throwing the long ball in Foxborough, where the Patriots dumped Philadelphia 14-6. Grogan's first target was Stanley Morgan, who scored on this 86-yard bomb. Darryl Stingley was next. He hauled in a 16-yard bullet for 6 here. The final again, Patriots 14, Eagles 6. The Cowboys beat the Redskins 14-7 in Washington despite the efforts of Redskin quarterback Joe Theismann. He was quickly greeted there at the 1-yard line, but he crossed the goal line himself on the very next play. And in San Francisco, it was the 49ers 20, New Orleans 17. Wilbur Jackson raced in for one of his 2 touchdowns of the afternoon there. The Vikings face the 49ers next Sunday at the Met. Other games this afternoon, Houston defeated Kansas City 34-20, and San Diego down the Seahawks 38-20 in Seattle.
All right, thank you, Tom. We're going to come back with a final word on Elvis Presley. He's